Police were last night probing the death of a man whose body was found on the road in Passage Gardens, St. Michael. That's our top story in our Barbados Today morning news update for Thursday, April the 5th. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. Police were last night investigating the circumstances surrounding the unnatural death of an elderly man whose body was found lying on the roadway along 1st Avenue, Alley's Land, Passage Gardens, St. Michael. Police said they had earlier received a report that a man had collapsed and fallen on the same road. Medical assistance had been sought, but the victim, whose identity had not been ascertained at the time, had already died at the scene. Private cane farmers have called for an urgent meeting with government and other stakeholders to reach agreement on pay for the 2018 crop. Chairman of the Barbados Sugar Industry Limited, Mark Seeley, told Barbados Today last night he has already requested the meeting and hopes it can be held speedily. This comes against the backdrop of a statement made by Minister of Finance Chris Sinclair on Monday that while farmers would be paid their outstanding money before this year's sugar harvest starts, government now has to find the money to pay them for this year's crop. But the private farmer spokesman said that as part of any agreement, they still needed to understand the true situation regarding the outstanding payments for the 2016-2017 crop.
Also, we need to understand the price that we are going to receive for cane. In other words, when you deliver your canes, normally over the last many years, you would receive, you know what your average total price would be, and you also know how much you will be paid up front. In other words, once you deliver a number of tons of cane, you receive a week later, you receive an agreed amount of that average price. Last year and for the last few years, we've actually received $80 per ton, and the average price was $160 per ton of cane, total average price. So we received 50% upfront.
Seeley is also concerned that with the crop still having not started due to non-payment, any further delay could adversely impact output and quality, especially if canes continued to be burnt.
We have had a bit of burning of cane. I don't think it has been as significant as some have suggested, but obviously if the crop is more delayed, then that would be a factor. Because if you get burnt cane, you don't get them into the factory, then that is a big challenge. You lose that cane. So it would be important all around to start as swiftly as possible, so we don't have that risk of cane being burnt. Yeah.
Seeley said the projected output of sugar, had the crop started in February, was 11,000 tons, a 10% increase over last year's. But even though that is still possible, it could change if the start of the harvest is delayed indefinitely. The president-elect of the Guild of Students at the Cayfield campus of the University of the West Indies, Christian Atong, has told fellow students the key to success is the tenacity and grit to never quit on their goals. In his inaugural report during the annual Students' Awards ceremony Tuesday night, Atong also said that success is not final or failure fatal.
She was abused as a child, fired from her job as a news reporter because she was so-called deemed unfit for television, but later became the host of a multi-award-winning talk show and the most influential woman on this planet, Oprah Winfrey. His teachers told him that he was too stupid to learn and that he should go into a field where he might succeed by virtue of his pleasant personality. The same man is the inventor of the incandescent light bulb, Thomas Edison.
Barbados will host the first Step Towers, a mutual legal assistance project aimed at promoting fast and comprehensive cooperation in mutual legal assistance matters. The U.S. State Department's Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs is behind the initiative. Attorneys from the Eastern Caribbean region will therefore be in Barbados today and tomorrow for a mutual legal assistance seminar. Attorneys from the Attorney General's Chambers, Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and Financial Intelligence Units will work together to enhance their knowledge of mutual legal assistance legislation, conventions, processes, and best practice.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back with news from the region now. Antigua and Barbuda's Attorney General Tedroy Cutie Benjamin announces that changes are coming to the country's electoral boundaries. Benjamin says the matter has been too long outstanding. Anderson Lightbird of ABS News reports.
And the Boundaries Commission has already completed its latest report. It was laid before a meeting of the House of Representatives, but not in time for consideration prior to the last general elections. Attorney General Tedroy Benjamin is of the view that the report needs to be looked at so as to achieve parity in numbers across constituencies. He explains.
The recommendation has been that the boundaries be revisited so that there can be a greater parity in the constituencies. For example, there are some constituencies which contain more than 4,500 people, others just over 1,500. That is not a true reflection of what it ought to be. My personal view is that there should be a revision of the boundaries and that the boundaries be demarcated to properly reflect a greater equality of the votes in each of the different constituencies.
And on the international scene, Facebook says the personal information of up to 87 million users, mostly in the United States, may have been improperly shared with political consultancy Cambridge Analytica, up from a previous news media estimate of more than 50 million. More in this Reuters story.
CEO Mark Zuckerberg, in a conference call with reporters, vowed to implement stronger controls on users' profile information.
It's clear now that we didn't do enough. We didn't focus enough on preventing abuse and thinking through how people could use these tools to do harm as well. We didn't take a broad enough view of what our responsibility is, and that was a huge mistake. It was my mistake. And today, we're following up further and restricting more APIs like groups and events.
The world's largest social media company has been hammered by investors and is facing a backlash from users and lawmakers. On the call, Zuckerberg said he was working to restore trust in the company.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.